Hey everybody, welcome back. Well, the most recent parcel arrived from Hitchcock's. For some reason it took quite a while this time. No idea why. But in it there were various bits and pieces. We got nice shiny hot horn. We got dip switch and horn switch. I got an extra little one. I'm not exactly sure what for now. Why did I buy that? What if I was planning to put a kill button on the handlebars, because of course the ignition switch is going to go down here under your bum, which is never very easy to deal with. That's the pilot light. Yes. No, that's the speedometer light. 8 little nuts for the rocker box, and I don't know, can you see that? I'll have to check. But if you can see there, I did the holes and made them disappear. So what else did we get? Oh, that's the pilot light thing. And I got a new headlight thing. Here's a thing, look. I don't know if you can see it in there. I mean, the only thing this is going to go on is British bike, basically. So why did they put green and 2 blacks when, as we've been mentioning about the wiring harness, the standard colouring? You know, why isn't it a red for the earth instead of a green, and a blue and white and a blue and red, so we can know what's going on? But anyway, that's that. Oh, and I bought this. This is the pilot bulb, but it's an LED one. Just thought, why not get it? It's for change. Right, now something else came, and what it turned out to be was written evidence, by post no less, that I am cracking up. Old age is taking its toll. You remember when I went to put the saddle on, I suddenly realised, I thought, oh, wow, I need to put the ignition coil somewhere, so we spent all that time making a bracket to mount it to the frame. Well, when I opened the package from Hitchcock's, what is included in there is what did they call it? Under saddle coil bracket. So I obviously knew about getting one of these when I made the order, and then I forgot it again. So you never know. Quite soon you might not be getting any videos because I'm in a padded cell. And to make matters worse, I then went and rummaged around in the box, the bits that came with the engine and frame, and I found the original 6-volt coil with that bracket on it. So, right, now the other thing I was going to do was I was going to phone Hitchcock's and give them a right bollocking, and I'll show you why. I'm going to zoom you in first. Now you remember we need an ignition switch because we got the later engine, so I thought I'd get the exactly correct one. I've decided actually to mount it here because unlike say the Sunbeam, did I tell you all this? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to tell you it again. Unlike the Sunbeam, where the cover for this is hinged at the bottom so it just drops down, these covers of course come off, so I couldn't really mount it in the cover. But then I thought, well, I've seen a couple of bikes where they're mounted in here, so we're going to drill a hole in there and mount it. So anyway, all excited, the ignition switch came. So I looked at the ignition switch and I thought, wait a minute, all these pins, that's for a plug fitting, and the wiring harness has got all these. Bollocks, I thought. I knew that when I went on Hitchcock's website, I definitely ordered this and the wiring harness off the same parts page. So I went back to the Hitchcock's website and I had to go to about, God, I think it was the last model Constellation or something like that, a 62 Constellation, to find a wiring harness for the distributor. And I checked the part number and I had ordered the right wire harness. So whilst on the same page, I looked at the ignition switch and it was the right part number. So the ignition switch and the wiring harness were on the same page. So then I looked again at the description for the wiring harness and it said underneath it that the wiring harness would have to be modified to fit the original switch. So what we're going to have to do is convert this lot to this. So I've got some materials, and what we're actually going to do, we're going to get really technical here, stretch me to the limit. I'm going to try and make a plug to fit onto that with the wires in, so that it's all spot on. So I was down at my friend Dick Oliver's yesterday to get a little job done on his shaper, because as you know, Steam Shop Dave is down in Florida, and he had all the necessary bits and pieces, a sort of nylon round stock for this, some very thin copper tubing that I can make plugs for those pins. So we're going to have a go at that, and I think that'll be basically a whole video. In fact, the way I'm rambling on now, this is turning out to be a whole video. So let's get on and start putting some electrical bits on. Now the first thing we're putting on is dip switch. So we need to get that positioned so that when you're using that, you can get at it. Of course, all the brackets intervene, and we're going to put the handlebar grip on so we know where these need to go. One thing to bear in mind about the handlebar grips is that the two holes are different size. This one's to go on the handlebar, and the bigger one is to go over the twist grip. So you'll pardon me while I expectorate into the end of this. You can use all sorts of stuff. You need some lube on, and what you can do is actually you can use compressed air. If you put the compressed air on the other end and bung the little hole up just with your thumb, the air will get into this and make it get bigger, and you can push it on. But a little bit of spit generally does it. Pushing a turn and pushing a turn, because you don't want them to be loose, otherwise they'll move under your hand, and that is very disconcerting. Right, that seems to be, I think, all the way on, so we know that's going to come back to there. We want that to be about like that. We'll fine tune these at the end, but for the moment, really all we need to know is where they're going to be, so that you can then get this switch here. That's about as far as it'll go without catching on this. Let's just tighten that up so we can work around it, and then we can go from there. Now then, here's where we come to the wiring. I already mentioned that that's black and green, and it should be red, blue and white, blue and red, blue and red. Now these two don't matter a great deal. One's going to high beam, one's going to low beam. So as the dip switch isn't actually marked, it doesn't really matter where you go. It doesn't matter which you're feeding. But you know, the other thing is to compound it. There's the ones from the dip switch. There's a red and black, which, as you know, on the standard wiring harness is the pilot light. There's brown. There's a blue, which should be power in from the headlight switch. There's a blue and white, which would be right to go to one of them. So we're going to play around with the meter now to find out which is which. If this is power in and this is one power out, then we've got to find out which one of those is the other power out. and finally the last one is the horn. Now the easiest way to find that out actually is to try and find the horn, because all the horn switch is going to do is earth that. The way the horn works is power goes into one terminal of the horn. Power will go into one terminal, go through the electromagnet in there, come out, then it'll come up to the switch, and that just earths it to make the circuit. So it's a lot easier to find just an earth than it is to find out which one of these is the other power out. Let's say for the moment we're going to assume they're headlight. So one of these, and I'm going to try the brown, I think, is should go to earth when I press that. So let's get set up to test that. Now the little buzzer in my meter is playing up, so you probably won't be able to hear it. So I've put that there so you can see the reading. Now logically, as I say, seeing as the horn wires are brown and blue, brown and black, you'd have assumed they'd put at least a brown one. But when I connect that, I've got it jammed in here to earth. Nothing. But when I put it to red and black, which as I say in the standard wiring would be side light wire, so the red and black is my horn wire. Now then, let's see what we can find out here. With these, without touching the switch, because it's always in one position or the other, two of these should connect. So blue should be the power in. Right, so let's see if blue and white. Okay, blue and white is good. Now this then should be brown if that's the if blue is the power in. But it's not. Okay. So let me make sure that's still working. Yep. So let's put it to. Alright. Blue. Nothing there. Okay. That's good. Nothing there. Nothing there. Well, I don't see how that's going to work. Because that is going to be nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Alright, it's got to be this then. I think. Blue and white's got to be the power in. So in one position, we're connected to the brown. Now we're not. But we're connected to the blue. So you see they're completely screwed up. So blue and white is power in for the headlight, for the switch to go back to the two filaments, and that is our horn. So let me put some connectors on these. Not quite sure what kind we've got on, so I've got to have a little look, and then we will take it from there. Now I'll put one of these on just to show you how I do it. Again, like a lot of things, it's not the way to do it, it's just the way I do it. Now I use these crimp-on ones, and actually I hope this all stays in focus. If you open the end out a little bit, because they are just a sort of pressing, they will fit in the bullet type ones nice. Where are we? They will fit in this bullet type of connector quite tightly. They'll make a good connection. But the main thing with them, of course, is when they're just crimped up the way some people do them, they look a bit unsightly. So what I always do is I get some of the shrink tubing with the glue in. Now generally with this you'll find that the wire itself is so much thinner, the connection, that you can't get the tubing to shrink all the way down. So I use two pieces, one to bulk up the insulation and then the other one which will shrink on all the way from this blue part here down onto the wire, and it'll make it a really good, tight, moisture proof joint. I've never had any problems with them. So first thing to do is to cramp that up, and I always do two of them. Mind you don't go too far or you'll actually cut the end off. You'll cut the end of this blue piece off. Then the white bit goes down, and then the brown, well, in this instance the black bit goes down. And they go like that. Let me make sure you're still, yeah, more or less. Then I have a very high-tech method of shrinking these. And then that's all shrunk up, it's all glued together, and it makes a good, solid, as I say, moisture proof joint. So I'll press on and do the others, and then we can connect things up. Right, so I've got all my little connectors on, and wires inside that need to go inside, so we can put the headlight on. So there's only a couple of things to mention about the headlight. This pilot light that I've got, normally they just sort of clip in, but this one actually has a sort of like a rubber grommet built into it, so that necessitates it having a separate earth, because obviously it's rubber to there. Now the light bulb, of course, has got high and low beam, but don't worry about getting it wrong, because I don't know if you can see it in there, there's a little raised piece, and the bulb collar has a little cutout, so the bulb will only go in one way, and then these three locking things here are not equidistant, so you can only put, where is it, this on one way round. So the two connections here will go on there correctly oriented for high and low beam. Let's see which way. Not that way. Yep, that's it. So that presses on, turns. So we have got a red and black to go on there. That's our side light in, and we have got, let's see, what have we got here? The red, that's earth. Then we've got, right, earth, we have to have, I've got a double connector on because we've got the earth from the pilot light. In fact, so what I'll do, I'll put the earth from the pilot light in there. Okay, and there's the red earth, so that's both bulbs earthed. Then we have these two which come from the dip switch. Well, that's everything connected up. And we want a screwdriver ready. I tell you what, I've these older headlights and wiring goes together pretty easily, but I've worked on some of the newer ones and you can barely get, there's so little space in there, you've got to make sure the wires are round to the sides and the bottom, or you can barely get the light unit back on. Screw that up. Felt that catch there. Alright, what I'm going to do is, I don't have a battery for it. The only thing I still have to do, actually, this is the lead that goes to the speedometer. Oh, I'm getting tired, look, I can't think of my words. I'm going to connect down by where the ignition switch would go, so where the power in is going to come into the system. I'm going to connect up my battery charger and just put it on a couple of amps, and then we can at least see if we've got lights, and I'll plug the horn in and we'll see if the horn will work. So that'll test the lights, the dip switch and the horn switch. So let me connect that up, or get it out anyway, and then we'll test this. Right, so I've got positive earth here, and I'm onto my brown and blue, which is what would be coming from the battery, so it would be going through the switch and up to there. I've got it set on 2 amps just to be on the safe side, so we'll plug that in. 12 volts is it, Michael? Yep, 12 volts. Okay, horn works. Alright. No lights. Very odd. Let's I've got the meter out. Let's see if we're getting anything going to the backlight. Try the green and brown to earth. And get 12 volts. Let me try, where is it? This brown and green, the one for the speedo light. To earth. 12 volts. Aha! Right, let me switch you off and I'll pull this headlamp off. Right, first of all, obvious things. Connections. Let me go around the other side. Still nothing. That's tight in there. It's tight, that's tight. Everything seems to be good and tight. See if we're getting any power up to the ammeter, which is where the green and brown goes. You notice again the cloth's on the painted bits, so we need our earth. Yep, we're getting power up to the ammeter. I'll maybe pull the wire off. As I say, there's not a lot of spare wire here. Now then, which was number 3, wasn't it? So we'll put that in there. Make sure I've got connection. Yep, that's reading my power. And it was oh, wrong side, Michael, it was on that side. Ah. No, I don't seem to be any. Oh yeah, there's power going to the light switch. So why don't we have any lights? And turn the light on, and I've got power to this green one. Have I connected up that? No, I thought we'd sorted that out. What am I doing? Okay, so That's power in, right. Now when we turn this, we should get power to that. There's power going to that and to the backlight. And then, no power there, we turn to headlamp and we're getting power to the headlamp. But it's not coming back down to here. So have I connected? Where did I say it was? Where did I say it was from there? Well, now let's see if we can. What are they? Right, they're the ones from the switch. Now that's the horn, I think. Okay, so let's put that one back in. Oh. Now the horn's decided to stop working. Ah, so we're looking at a loose connection somewhere, aren't we? No horn now. Hang on, what's that come out of there? That's the earth come out. But that's got nothing to do with that. Everything to do with the lights, of course. Don't you hate electrical problems? Alright, I'm not going to make you stand there watching me try and everything, so let me switch you off and have a fiddle. Well, we're getting there. Right, but when I go to the other one, I wobble the connection in the bulb for the bulb. I tell you. And that's where it seems to be. And of course, the horn stopped working, although if I just, I'm slightly out of camera here, but if I touch the earth here to the earth on the horn, so you now have actually put the earth to the, can I open you out a bit, or are you seeing that? Oops, wrong way. Now I've got the earth actually on the handlebars. Oh, hang on, I've got that disconnected now. Oh. Trying to keep up with everything is just murder. Alright, that's in there. No, nothing. So, and of course, no pilot light. Alright, I will press on. Okay, took the LED bulb out, put an ordinary bulb in. Shows you these newfangled things, crock of shit. Alright, still don't seem to have a horn working, but I seem to have my lights working, so I'll press on. Alright, here goes. So, everything's working. However, I've got a question for you electrical types. So, Andreas, here's one for you. I don't believe in coincidences. Pilot light wouldn't work. I changed from the LED to an ordinary filament bulb pilot light works. One filament in the main light wouldn't work. Took out the halogen bulb I put in and put again an ordinary filament bulb in. Everything worked. So is that something to do with the amperage that's coming out of the battery charger rather than the battery? There you go, you can answer that for me. So anyway, next thing is I've got to take the battery box back off because I can't get a drill in to put the hole in here. I've sorted out all the connections I need and everything. So I'm going to do that, and next video, as I say, I think it'll take a whole video, is I'm going to make that plug thing to go on the back of the ignition switch. I've sorted out where the terminals are, and plus the heating's coming on, so you're not going to be able to hear me. So till next time, enjoy yourselves.